በስመ አብ ወወልድ ወመንፈስ ቅዱስ አሐዱ አምላክ አሜን። ሞት ይደንግጥ፣ ቀላያትም ይሰንጠቁ፣ የምድር መሠረቶች ሁሉ ከክብሩ የተነሣ ለዘለዓለም ይንቀጥቀጡ። ወደ ክርስትናው ድንበር የገቡት ግን ጌታን ያለ መሞት ያመልኩታል።
Hello and welcome. I'm Tafara Gadamu. You're watching the Meet TV show. My guest today, Dr. Richard Yates, is a pioneer of what he calls Graspmatyx, a new approach to teaching maths.
Fortunate if we do not K-N-O-W, and I pronounce that word Kinau instead of N-O-No, right? It's unfortunate if we do not, if you're saying we do not Kinau what the highest number is, and that is unfortunate. And that goes to what I'm saying earlier, the way we're taught, and that is true. Most people, you ask them what's the highest number, they would say infinity or Google or all these different things they would say. Or they would say numbers never stops, it keep going on and on. You see, that goes to how we conceptualize the question or perceptualize the question. You see, if you're looking at the question perceptually, you are able to say that 9 is the highest number. Why? Because after 9, you're starting all over again. Because the starting number is not 1, the starting number is 0. So it's 0 to 9 are called integers, basic or primary numbers. And so that's called a rule of measurement. So when you get to 9, that's the highest. All you're doing is starting all over again, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. But you're repeating it in what we call 2-digit, 3-digit, 4-digit, etc.
Why do you refuse to say 10? And instead you say 1, 0?
Because I dabble in linguistics. And the math that I teach, Graspmatyx, this is a good question you're asking, by the way. The math.
What I'm asking, not asking.
Asking, yeah. Asking, yeah.
Is that your variety of, avoiding K's and or stressing the
yeah, that has
K because you say
yeah,
no?
Exactly, the K, yes. But let me answer your question before I get into that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you said, why am I avoiding saying 10? Well, because 10 is just an expression that misrepresents the figure 1, 0. Now think about it. You have something called integers, basic and primary numbers, which is from 0 to 9. And each numerical symbol has an identity, which we call name, like 0, 1, 2, right? So each figure, right, is already identified for what it is. So when you get to the highest now and you're starting over, what you're doing is just using the first symbol, which is 0, and the second one is the 1. So you're reading left, right, say 1, 0, 1, 1, instead of 10. Because 10 is just an expression, but it does not represent linguistically and perceptually, and even, as they would say mathematically, 1, 0, because you're talking about figures. Here again, another example I give you based on what you
But
just asked.
Okay, you're trying to give emphasis to zero.
Yes,
because we can't-
exactly.
No, earlier
Beautiful.
you said, we start at number one. No, I know that we start at number one.
Me
but
too, in the
you
British
said
school. I too, in American schools too, right?
But you said you started
At
zero.
zero,
Are
right.
you trying to recognize zero over and over
Yeah.
again in your...
Yeah,
what
because
way is it? Yeah.
because it's you see when you get to the highest, you have to if you're going to start all over, you have to start at zero,
Like,
like 1 0 and 2 0 and 3 0 and 4 0 and 5 0 and so on, right? You see, when you get into the number they call the 20s, right? They call it that, and you get to 29, which rightfully we call in Graspmatyx 29, you have to start all over again, 3 0. Right.
what is zero for you then? Is it,
Oh.
is something, you conceptualize it?
No, I perceptualize. I used to conceptualize and I stopped, but I now perceptualize it.
Okay, in your own time, you conceptualize it.
No, I don't.
Perceptualize
Yes,
it.
I do. Yes,
Very interesting.
and that
So
makes
it's-
the linguistics is very important.
Why?
Why? Because linguistically, the word perception, the prefix is per, per, and per means each, a, or one. That's where you get the term person as an individual, right? So perception means analyzation or view or observation. That's why linguistics is very important. Remember, if you're teaching the matter as a language, the matter is called Graspmatyx, and the language is called Grasp-ish. So
That's music to my ears.
well, I'm happy to know. Are you dancing?
No, I'm not. But
Because music makes people dance. I hope you're dancing.
So why is zero important to you?
Because
what is zero to you?
yes.
When you...
It means a lot. It means a lot to me because of the way the British taught me first, and the Americans taught the Europeans. The Europeans are the only ones struggling. Primarily, they're the only ones really struggling, Europeans and Americans, about the definition of zero. They're saying it's not a number, then they're saying it is. That's contradiction, right? If you study most indigenous cultures that KNEW, knew about, about the zero, they always emphasize that the zero means the circumference of life, which is a circle, right? Look, there's no such thing as nothing because there's always something. I have never seen nothing. I've never experienced nothing. So how can you tell me about nothing when I've never experienced it or seen it? It doesn't exist. That's a concept. But perception, as I mentioned before, the prefix is per, which means each, a, one, or by. Perception means view or analyzation, observation. So linguistically, perception should be defined as one's view of a thing as it really is. We're talking about the reality of things, right?
But
So
zero,
it's real,
zero is zero. That's what it is.
then that's reality, that's perception, right? Well said. But not nothing. But you see now, if you're going to conceptualize it, conceptually zero means nothing. But that's a European concept of the figure zero. You see, let me get another example. If zero means nothing, how much would 1 0 they call 10 value?
What's that?
If zero means nothing, right? How much would 1 0 they call 10 value? How much would it value? That's where complication goes in. Most people say 1, which makes sense because 1 with 0, which is 1 with nothing, would equal 1. Then therefore 1 0 they call 10 can't be more than 9 and 8 and 7. That's contradiction. And here where the contradiction starts. Like you said earlier in this interview, you said you were taught starting counting at 1. So was I in the British school system and so in the American school system. So how are you going to start counting at 1? And when you get to 9, then all of a sudden the 0 showed up. I asked you a question, where did the 0 come from? But if you start out with it originally, you remember how originally spelled? The 0, the O, right? If you started with it originally, then to me it's called perceptual logic, that after 9, I'm now going to 2 figures, right? Okay, which is called the double digit, to create now 1 0, they call 10, which is the starting, the 0 and the 1. That is logic. But if you don't have the 0, how are you going to write 10?
So you're saying that Western education
Yes.
system has no logic at all?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the way I was taught by them.
For some reason, what you're trying to tell me right now in here seems to me like it is some kind of protest